Welcome to Book Take Review, the platform where we recommend the best book to you. Today is episode 109, and we are recommending this book to you Work a Little Less, Live a Little More
Yes.
by Mark McKeown.
Mm.
And Mark McKeown is Australia leading world life balance writer and speaker. In addition to 20 years in the AFL as a fitness coach, runner, motivator, and player, and 10 years as editor of Ultra Fit magazine, Mark has instigated many of Australia's largest corporate wellness programs. Let's hear what Joyce is talking about this book.
Yes, this book, there are so many great tools in the book, and I personally particularly like some part of it is like the directness from the author himself. And especially when the first introduction that captured my attention is he mentioned that a lot of people actually addicted to busyness, addicted to busy. I mean, how many of us are really addicted to the busy? He used this word I see is able to be so resonate, especially in the modern world right now. So many of us are really, really tight with our back-to-back meetings and our schedule, obligations, responsibility, whatever you want to say that it is so jam-packed. So it's somehow, in some way, we are actually addicted to the busy. So he really opened my brain, my mind to think about it so much when he talked about working a little less means being efficient and live a little bit more means enjoying your life each and every day as it comes along. So I think this is something I would love to bring to you all because I know that the previous so many episodes we are talking about so many life principle, and this is more about technique that how to create the time. And I know that there are so many fundamental things I believe that you read somewhere else about creating time, getting some help, get someone you hire, delegate your task to someone else, or even outsource the task. So, what I would love to bring up some of the tools later on, but one thing I want to highlight to you is Mark, when he wrote this book, as I mentioned to you, I really love the direct way he actually bring out the point. For example, he said, this is where you need to find a way to discipline yourself. Be strong, be ruthless with your time, or the world will strip you of it. If your time stealers are recurrent in nature, stop complaining about them and take some action to reduce them. Be decisive. Don't agree to the meetings when they are superfluous. And don't make the premature decisions when you don't need to. And don't delay when you don't have to. So, when he talk about this, the way he talk about it is so direct. It's like straight to my heart. Yes, sometimes you just need to really protect your time. If not, the world will take up your time. So because this book has been in my bookshelf for so many years, and I read before, but recently I'm in the journey learning how to set healthy boundaries for myself. So that's the reason why I go and search out what are the resources that I have in my bookshelf. So I get this book out and I flip through, and definitely there are so many, ways. And one of the way that he shared is setting boundaries, which I said, yes, today I will going to focus on this to share with you about how to say no. So he mentioned about this sentence. It all comes down to this. If you give everyone what they want, there will be nothing left for you. Sometimes when you talk about this, he mentioned about a point. It's called proper selfishness. I'm not here to encourage you to be selfish, but I want you to set a moment to think. If you are someone like me, having a loving and compassionate heart so much. And in my heart, I always love to help people. And when it comes to the point that So much effort that I put to help other people, and some areas of my life suffer. So what he mentioned about proper selfishness is means that sometimes that you need to be selfish in order to be effective in your work and also your personal life. So it just happened to be you have to get your life pendulum. You know the life pendulum, the pendulum, to be somewhere in the middle. You can't sway yourself extreme to one side, whether either to the left, to the right, but it's somewhere in the middle. It's like it is something so kind that you do to yourself. So this episode is mainly for those people that, are finding so hard to set the healthy boundaries, especially you are a kind person. Because on my way to find the the tools, the resources, how I can help myself to set a better healthy boundaries, I found that sometimes saying no is actually kind to both parties. So he share one very effective tools which I really put into practice. It's called predictive conversing. What it means by predictive conversing is you predict someone that they were going to ask a favor from you. You predict, which means that you know that this person were going to ask you to do something. So you actually respond first. So, for example, this is the example from the book that when someone asks you, "Are you free this today? Are you free today?" So, if you know that the person we're going to ask some favor from you, say no first. I'm not free today. So that they can stop and think whether should they actually ask a favor from you. So sometimes, I directly put into practice and it works. It doesn't mean that you will work for every situation and you have to gauge and judge yourself whether how you are going to use these tools. But sometimes you may just need to know that you need to protect the little precious moment, the time that is so sacred for you to work on whatever that's so close to you that you want to do it. You want to really spend the time and do it rather than you are putting all the effort scattered around the time like a plate. If you put like a piece of cake, right, you're going to slatch all the cake for other people, you left nothing for yourself. So you just need to protect that piece that belong to you and at the same time still doing a little bit more to help whatever within your capacity. So this is something he mentioned about this. If you want, okay, if there are any tasks or obligations that you are currently doing and you don't want to and you don't have to do and they don't fit into your list of personal goals and expectations, don't do them. Say no. I directly quote from his book. It's so direct that he mentioned about this. It's all about learning how to say no in your mind and in your lips. This is from him, not from me. Okay? In your mind and from your lips. Never again should you review your day and think to yourself, why on earth did I agree to that? And whether must be mad to get roped into that one. How am I going to find time what I have just agreed to? Sometimes I also fall into this spiral, downwards things. I do ask myself, why on earth I go and agree to this? I supposed to be saying no. Why I didn't say no? So this is something I would love to alert you all. If you are someone that having such a difficulty to say no and such a difficulty to say yeah, you know, you just like be like me, like choosing peace, harmony, so that you say, yeah, we're gonna do that. I choose to do that, whatever. But there's one word, one sentence from Mark really highlight about this is if you keep your peace, you won't be able to keep your time. When I read that, I'm rolling my eyes. Yeah, if you're really constantly keeping the pace, sometimes you just won't be able to keep your time. This has just directly happened to me in my life, which I'm still learning. I know that I'm improving so much more compared to last time, but I know I'm still in the journey of improving myself, how to be a better me to keep that healthy boundaries for kind people. I think if I after I successful Gideon, I just want to make a declaration here. After I successful to set that healthy boundaries, I will definitely write and set up an online course to share with other people how to set healthy boundaries for kind people.
Oh,
But those
okay.
people, those especially for those kind people, I tell you, it's so hard for us to say no. And that boundaries that we want to set, it is really hard. But I would love to learn along the journey, and I would love to share more next time. So I at the same time also very curious about Gideon. What is your thoughts about setting healthy boundaries? What is your
So for
thought on?
me, because of Joyce, I work in corporate life,
Yeah,
so most of the time people only communicate in email, and people work remotely, meaning most of the time they don't see you face to face. So people see your time only as your calendar, your so like in my corporate we use Outlook calendar, or you can use Google Calendar, right? So people only see your time as in the calendar. So to
mm,
protect your time boundary for myself, I think even most of many of my colleagues, they also agree that you have to even set a time for lunch, for dinner, you
yeah,
know, or even for your personal time that you need it, like meditations, maybe just a cup of coffee, 15 minutes cup of coffee. You need to set it in the calendar, because if you don't put it, people will take it. I mean, people will send a meeting invite and then take this time. So I know nowadays people are very busy, and they work back to back meetings, online meetings, or even face to face. So you have to set that boundary, right? So I maybe I didn't mention, because last time I mentioned before that if we didn't put things in the calendar, you wouldn't do it, right?
yeah.
uh Besides setting as a reminder, is also is a place to protect your boundary, yeah. So even for myself, I have to set a time, like an hour for lunch, an hour for dinner, so that people don't take it for meetings and you even lost your meeting nights. And the other thing I think a lot when Joyce say about very hard to tell no to people, is we have to remember, if you say yes to people, you are saying no to yourself. So it's either way you are saying no to the other person, or you're saying no to yourself. Okay, so you have to choose, right? Compromise. I know it's not easy, but you have to think, if you say yes to the person um, that want your time, you're saying no to yourself, your own time. Is it okay? If you feel that it's okay, they will make some compromise of your time, then go ahead, but you have to think about it.
Yes. Before you get into the spiral
Yeah.
downwards into the rabbit hole, but remember that is you always need to be more conscious, to be more aware about where your time goes.
Mm.
Even that I always, being so proud of myself, knowing how to manage my time so well. But sometimes I know that there is some period of time I actually fall into this rabbit hole that I'm not really being very conscious and aware that where my times go until I go and keep track. I go and find where actually my time spent. 20% of this, 10% of that, 5% of this, and then the 50% of this. And then I will realize that who actually stole my time the most. So I know that, okay, how I'm going to set the boundaries, I think it boils down to a lot on your little, consciousness. Okay. And then, like what Mark mentioned in this book, proper selfishness sometimes is definitely needed. But remember that you don't get away from your boundary. No, you don't get away on your, mm, I would say, you don't get away from your self, your true self. You know, it's like I do not ask you to say you properly say, oh, I want to be selfish because I want to protect my time. It is more on knowing who you are, knowing who you truly are, who you want to become. That really helps you to be more able to protect your time. So this is like I spend hours and hours in front of journal. I have a book that I write down who I want to be. That's real tough for me. It's like I'm writing like 30, minimum 30, who I want to be, how I want to become. So it's like writing down again and again these sentences having it's really helpful for me to know what I want to do and what I want to protect. So that's why the last sentence I want to leave you with this book is live in the moment. If you dwell in the past and sweat in the future, you will miss what's wonderful about today. So live in the present moment because nothing else can be guaranteed, right? Nobody can guarantee that the next day you are able to wake up with your eyes open and you can still see or you can still move around. Nobody can actually guarantee for that. So live in your moment, work a little less, and live a little bit more. So thank you for following our episode today and leave us with any comments, any aha moment, or any things that you would love us to know. And see you in the next episode.